Wednesday. This is the homework from Tuesday night, which is 421, column 1 evens. And here are the answers. Please check your work. Those of you at home, please check your work also. Hey, are there any questions on the homework? You need one done. You need to know how to check. So let me do one just for Sarah and Miranda who are absent. So say I did number 28. Wait, 28, was 28 one of them? Yeah. 28. So we need to make a chart, negative 28 to add up to negative 3. I'm thinking 4 and 7. And I'm thinking one has to be negative and it's the 7. So x plus 4, x minus 7. To check it, we go x minus 7 here, x plus 4 here. I think this is a very doable method for people to understand and do. Okay, if I check it, these two add up to negative 3x, and it checks. Okay, let's move on to today's lesson.
What page are we on?
We are working on the notes that I gave you in front of you.
168.
Okay, both sides are the same. Pick a side and start. Thank you. Are you sorry? Exactly. Okay, let's look at 20x squared plus 7x plus 3. This is called factoring by grouping. It is not in your notes. So you are to be writing down on the piece of paper what we're writing up here. So are we there? Okay, so the first step says multiply the first and last term together. So the first term is the 20x and the 3. We're going to multiply these two together. $20x squared times 3. Okay, and that equals what? 60x squared. Good. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is put it into a chart. Okay, so we're going to draw the chart. Now, I'm going to do it like the other day where okay, back to the problem. Please focus back up here. Thank you. Okay, you're going to draw a chart. We're writing this down on our paper. So you're going to draw a chart with 60x squared here. This is like last night's homework, but now I just threw the x squared on there. And on the other side, what do you think you're going to put here?
17x.
Very good, the middle number. Very good. Now I need two numbers that we'll do it like last night's homework where you look at the 60 to add up to 17. Two numbers that multiply to equal 60 and add up to 17. Now there's several numbers that do this, but that multiply to 60 but don't add up to 17. So what do you got, BB?
No, I have a question.
What is your question, BB?
How is it times 17?
We're doing it like last night's homework. We put the middle number on the end. Okay? So okay, now kids, what two numbers multiply to equal 60 and add up to 17? Okay. What two multiply to equal 60 and add up to 17? The 6 times 10, does that add up to 17? No. Jared, does 20 and 3 add up to 17? They could if one was negative, but we don't have a negative here. Micah, I'm calling you, but every time I call on you, you ask me a different question.
I have the answer.
So, what do you think times what is 60 and adds up to 17? Yes, Micah. 5 and 12, good. 5 times 12 is 60, and 5 plus 12 is 17. Okay, now, so this is like last night's homework. Can you stop whistling, Spencer? So, I'm going to put an X here and an X here. Okay, so it says choose the factors that add up to the middle number. And now I'm all over the place with this because I didn't really want to do that. That's 5 and 12. And we're going to put an X on 5 and 12. Okay, so the next step down here is put an X on both numbers, which I did up in the chart. Okay. So I'm just really stretching out this process. We're going to be able to shrink this process into like 3 lines in a few minutes. So this is an important step here, 5. Rewrite the trinomial with the new x's replacing the middle term. Jared, you're going to be going out in the hallway in a minute. So I'm rewriting the trinomial 20x squared. So instead of 17, I'm putting a 5x and a 12x. And then the last number I would ask, but no one's going to be able to tell me, is a 3.
It's a 3.
Okay, so you rewrite it with the new factors. So what just happened? So I started off with a trinomial. First of all, what's the difference between this trinomial and last night's trinomial? Yes, Micah. I'm talking about up here, the 20x squared. Yesterday, it was just a 1 in front of x squared. Today, we have a 20 in front of it. So we're going to do it a different way. So whenever there's a number in front of x squared, you can do it this way. This is a better way to do it. So I multiply the first and last term, and that's where I got step 1 from. So multiply the first term and the last term, and that's where I got this from. Then I do a chart, just like last night's homework. And I look at the number I have and find multiples that add up to the middle number. Are you with this so far? Okay. Then you put x's on those numbers. You put x's on those numbers. Okay, then you rewrite the original trinomial, this one up here. Rewrite it, but instead of putting 17, you put those numbers that you obtained, this 5 and the 12. Because 5 and 12 is 17. Right? So I haven't changed it. It's 5 and 12 is 17. Okay, the last step, or last 2 steps. This creates 2 groups. This is group 1 and group 2, like we went over yesterday. Okay, you're going to find the GCF of the first group and factor it. Okay, so what is the GCF of the first group? If we look at the first group, we have a 20 and a 5. What's the GCF of 20 and 5? 5. You have an x squared and an x. What's the GCF there? Okay, then you write a parentheses. Okay, if I divide 20 by 5, what's left back inside here? 4. And I took one x out, so there's an x plus 9. What's 5x divided by 5x? 1. Okay. Now you do the other one the same way. We're going to factor out what out of both of these terms over here? A 3. What's left behind when I factor out a 3 out of 12? Okay, 4x. What's left behind after I factor out a 3? A 1. Notice that these two match. Okay? Your goal is to get these two to match. Match means the same. These are the same. Okay, now we need to interpret this as our answer. So if these match, what is our answer? Well, if I would bring Spencer back into the room and say, hey, Spencer, what's the answer? He might, I would say it's very obvious what the answer is. Pick what you think it is. And he would probably pick one of the answers to be what? 4x plus 1. And then the other answer is going to be what's left behind after you get rid of the 4x plus 1. So the other answer would be what? What's left behind? 5x plus 3. Okay, so this is the original question factored. Okay, how do you know? Well, we're going to do a check. We're going to do a check. So take 4x plus 1 and 5x plus 3 and do the box method on it. This times this is 20x squared. This times this is 5x. This times this is 12x. And this times this is 3. So if we put it all together, add these two together, we get 20x squared plus 17x plus 3. And that checks with the original question. So the answer to this question, what is this trinomial factored? It factors into this. That's your answer. This is your check. Yes, Jiren. Yes, but there's a shorter method to it. We'll show you in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to multiply the first term and the last term, and I'm going to get 2x squared. Okay, this is a lot like last night's homework where you have the multiples of that answer 2 that add up to the middle 3. So 2 and 1 are the multiples that add up to 3. So we're going to take those, 2 and 1, and we're going to put x's on them. I'll show you another way to do this in a minute, a shorter way. We're going to rewrite the trinomial by replacing the x's, the middle term, with the x's that we have. So instead of the original trinomial, which was 2x squared plus 3x plus 1, 2x squared plus, instead of 3x, I'm going to write x, 2x plus 1x plus 1. Again, if you're talking through the whole thing, you're not going to get this. You should be doing the question. Then you have two groups. Two groups. The first group, you're going to factor out everything you can. What can I factor out of the first group? 2 and an x. What's left behind? An x. You don't put, no. I took the 2x by division out. There'll be a 1 left behind. If I were to redistribute this, you would get the same thing that's up top. What am I going to take out of the second term? A 1. So when I take out a 1, what's left behind? Well, just x and 1. Next step is to interpret your answer. What is common in this? Yes, Jared. X plus 1 is common. I use that up. What's left behind? 2x plus 1. This should be my answer. I'm going to do a check using the box method. This will reinforce your box method ability, meaning you got good practice at this. So this turns into 2x squared plus 3x plus 1, and it checks. But this is my answer. This is the trinomial factored into two binomials. And we'll do another one from the homework in a second. Now you can go to your homework paper And we'll do it a shorter version, which might be a little bit easier instead of following these drawn out steps. So if you could tell me what the next question in the homework is, which is, no, we're doing odds. Could someone tell me what the next question in the homework is?
7 and squared plus
Number 7?
no, number 4. No.
Odds.
We're doing odds.
So it's 7.
Second grade.
7
Thank you. 7n squared
plus 9n
plus 9n
plus 2.
plus 2. Jared? Jaren, can you stop talking?
Yes, sir.
I don't need an answer. I need an action. Okay, now, the quick way to do this. Can you get a pencil out, please? Can you start using the pencil? And a homework paper, please? The quick way to do this is to do it this way. We're still going to multiply these two together. And we're going to put them right into the chart. So 7n squared times 2 is how much? 14n squared. Okay? What's the middle term? 9n. Okay? So we just multiply the first and last term, and then put that first and then the middle term there. Two numbers that multiply to equal 14 that add up to 9. 7 and 2. Now watch, I'm going to do 7n and 2n, because 7 times 2 is 14, and 7 plus 2 is 9. And we're going to leave the n's on there. Okay? The next step is rewrite the original question. So 7n squared plus, instead of 9n, I'm going to write, no, I'm going to write 7n plus 2n plus 2. So do you see that instead of 9n, we wrote 7 plus 2n? Because 7 plus 2n is 9n. So we rewrote the problem. It's still the same problem, we just rewrote it. That allows us to factor by grouping. We have two groups. It's pretty clear what the GCF of the first group is. Perhaps you could raise your hand and tell me. Yes, Khadija? 7n. What's left inside when you take the 7n out, or you factor it out? N plus 1. Good. The same thing goes for the second one. It's very clear what the factor is of the second one. What comes out of both 2n and 2? 2 does. And you're left with what inside? Now, if you're not sure what's left inside, look at the first one. It should be the same, n plus 1. Then you write your answer. N plus 1 times what? 7n plus 2. Good. Then you come over and do your check. It is. Okay, you're making me mess up here. I'm talking while I'm trying to do math. So this is going to be 7n squared plus 9n plus 2. And it checks. But this is my answer.